Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox, and today we're going to be talking about optimal raid strategy. Especially because if you are hyped for the FMA units, if you just want to make the most of your free Edward and Tifa, you're really going to want this vision card. You're really going to want it. And considering that it is a free UR vision card, even though it is very much a strike vision card, and a very powerful strike vision card at that, and really the last piece of the puzzle for making strike teams amazing, it's also just a strong vision card for the other people who can equip it, and it's free, so you might as well learn how to raid well and get that bad boy. Now, despite the fact that you just saw me download the update, I have done some work on this account in that direction already. I think I might have raids queued up. It looked like I did. Cool. Oh, I have a stack. Okay. I guess I haven't really done much raiding. So, for your early levels... Actually, let me back out just a second. For your early levels, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to say to yourself, alright, which one of these bonus units do I have closest to the top? That's the one you're going to use. Now, in my case, I have Alphonse, but my Edward is 140. I haven't really started building the Alphonse yet because I haven't decided, like, do I want to go past 99 with him, maybe take him to 115, or do I want to hoard those resources like crazy and spend them on Edward, or maybe do I want to save my scrolls for Sephiroth and maybe build both of these up to 140? I'm not really sure yet. So I'm going to keep looking. Now, I had to go all the way to the bottom to find a vision card that I have. This one is pretty good. This one's for Earth, so it's not really applicable. This would be good if I had it for Edward, but I'm going to use this one. Really, best you got. And just use one unit for as long as the game will let you get away with that. And yes, I know I'm walking into an elemental weakness. No, it's not a particularly big deal. And yes, if you've never done this before, you probably want to set those three things, because doing this in manual is even more grindy than it has to be, because especially these first couple of fights, they just aren't hard. You might as well let the AI do it for you. Another thing that might come in handy, especially later, is having the two-headed dragon in your sub slot. Damage limit up is just as strong in the sub VC slot as it is in the regular slot, so go ahead and use that. Especially once you get more units on the field and start chaining, you're really going to want to take advantage of that. Now, unlike, well, actually, other than Trials of Reckoning, most formats that have a bonus work like this, to where it's best and then everything else doesn't matter. So you have an incredible amount of flexibility in team building compared to what I was teaching you for Trials of Reckoning, where you're trying to do the best you can, but also you're trying to use all the bonus units you can. So the best you can is really limited to whatever limited synergies those units might be able to enable. But with this, it's more that you're building around whatever the biggest bonus unit you have. And what they do. So for this, I would want to go one of two directions, whichever one makes the most sense to me. And basically it's all for chaining. So I could do Strike, and since I am running Strider sub, I could go with Slash. Slash is certainly going to be a lot easier. So I could do like a Rainbow Slash team. Or I could do a Rainbow Strike team perhaps. Or I could do also just a wind team in general and do wind chaining, not necessarily worrying about damage types. Now, since the main boss here is ice, and honestly I don't switch teams between them, I just kind of make one good team and power through things. So I'm probably not going to be building my team around, you know, since King Bradley is the bonus raid boss, which you're going to encounter maybe 1 out of 10 or 20 times. Oh, here he is, right on cue. It's not bad that I have Edward, and he is going to remain my best unit, so I'm going to be building around him. So Alphonse is going to be an okay choice. I do have Tifa. Tifa is going to be really one of my best choices, I think. So I think that's going to be my next unit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to build her up very much. She's going to be stuck in a very grindy, slow build for eternity, unfortunately. Just didn't have the resources as a new player to be able to do that and still be able to do this. And I figured if I got one of the two units, it was definitely going to be Edward. No regrets about that. And really, even for my non-new player account that was able to save up a bit more, getting both of these units, even getting both of these units to 99, and it wasn't really a thing that account was at all concerned about. Was difficult as well because it came in too late to have previously done Final Fantasy VII. I think really the people who are able to do Edward Tifa most effectively are people who played for the first Final Fantasy VII collab and have been slow building their Tifa ever since, maybe. Even if they didn't really build her then, because then you at least have enough of a head start that it's not particularly challenging. So I'm going to copy this formation over into Party 4. And as you can see, I definitely don't need extra firepower yet. And since there's less setup, it is faster to do this with just one unit, I'm telling you. And especially since, oh, I need to build up some more fist equipment from the looks of it. Maybe giving her defense penetration is best. But this is going to be probably my best two-person team. And I guess from here I have to make the choice between wind and strike. And I think it probably has to be wind, looking at my equipment. Or I need to go do some equipment building. It's a shame I don't have her TMR. Her TMR would be so very good for these two. I wanted to get at least that, but we're still stuck with her. Oh man, not even a good Esper. The neglect on this Tifa. That has a win bonus. Okay. So this is maybe my two-person team. I'll switch to that when one starts to fail. And then there is no real graceful way of threading the needle between... Okay. I guess I can work with that. Between like 2 and 3, you've really got to go all the way from 2 to 4. Because one of the reasons, the main reason why running only one unit is so much faster is every one of these units is going to need at least one turn to set up. And, you know, that starts adding delay to the front end of the fight. So if you can really take down the boss quickly with one unit, then you are skipping a lot of delay doing it this way. And each unit that you add adds delay and adds a turn of delay, which is going to make it harder to beat this boss in the required amount of turns. Which is going to mean you got to come back in and do it again. Actually, I don't even really want you to be fast. I guess, let's see, as a Dragoon you probably, I haven't put any thought or probably building into you, Sosha. So you're probably terrible, but let's just do something like this. You undoubtedly need the defense penetration, I'm pretty certain of that. Oops. I didn't mean to go in with this party, but we'll see kind of how well they chain. And so once you switch to your 4-person party, you're probably going to notice that they do a bunch of extra shit that you don't want them to do. They buff weird. They run sideways to do things, which is, yep, nope, not in this format. That's not good. You really want them to charge straight at the boss. That's acceptable. Okay, at least he's moving forward now. Maybe this can work. I don't know. We will see what happens. But as you can see, all these extra buff turns as they're getting in position, instead of just charging straight forward into this guy's face, is really slowing down not only the amount of actions that we're taking to get to the boss and start doing damage, but it's really slowing down the fight in general. You're seeing, though, what you're getting for that trade-off is that once they do get in range, all of a sudden they're building up a really high elemental chain and doing quite a bit of damage. And yes, she did eventually get in there and give us some defense down, so that was cool. Good, objectively good choice for me on that. I think maybe turning off Edward's buddy buff so he moves in a bit faster is probably good. Everything else that everyone else was using was pretty decent. You're really seeing the difference between those two strategies for building, and I would say you're probably, you know, depending on how good your 1-man, 2-man teams are, or 1-unit, 2-unit teams, since, well, I don't know, for this collaboration, you're certainly using a man, or at least a boy's soul in a suit of armor, like, well, I guess, or a homunculus in the shape of a man. Okay, there's a lot of options. None of them necessarily are women, but there are a lot of options. So, you know, maybe like 50 or 60. Maybe you can even go further with the right unit. I think Edward's going to have a lot of trouble versus the main boss, though. He's going to be beating the... His blessing of the truth. Okay, so you go in here, and you want to turn it off in multi, because this is going to... Anything that uses the 4-person setup is considered multi. Yes. So that's how you modify the AI for that without turning off abilities that are going to be good in other formats. Because this is a very specific format, and you're going to be turning off a lot of things that are great, so that you just run forward and beat the shit out of the boss as quickly as possible. Because that turn limit, while it's not looking like an issue yet, even for our single-person teams, it is a major problem. So let's see how this modifies our AI. Anyways, as I was saying, you might have to switch over to your 4-person team somewhere around 50, and that's going to work all of a sudden for being able to beat this within 20 turns when you couldn't do it with just 1 unit. But it's maybe only going to work for 5 or 10 levels, and then if you haven't been doing it, like tuning and this kind of... Oh yeah, there's that buff. I really like that buff, though. Oh. Well, that's kind of a shame. I mean, I guess getting the AP restore in there is good, but also the other thing that is kind of unique to this and a lot of other shorter PvE formats is that you usually want to get your AP restore off before you start going in, before you start fighting. He has a defense down, so it's kind of redundant to be doing that with Sosha now that I'm realizing it. But fine, it's fine. I don't mind at all. And this does seem to be working out pretty well. We cut the defensive buff, and now he's offensive buffing, which I think is great. And he is getting himself AP restore, so you know what? I think I have to deal with the fact that we're going to be casting 2 buffs on the way over. I think this is fine. I think if it's not fine, we will find out when we get to the point where we need to use this team, because I'm going to go back to using the solo team with just Edward And we're going to see that even though we've advanced a little bit, that is still going to be considerably faster of a way to clear than using all 4 or maybe even 2 units. Except that I didn't change the team. Before I do that, though, I want to test another team, which is going to be more along the lines of making sure that I've got him set up right. Okay, yeah. A slash chaining team. So let's check this out. Now my hope is that he's still going to get off Veil of Woe, because I would like to use Scintilla, but I would also like for him to get that AP restore up for himself. I'm hoping that we can Claws of the Young King here. Nope, that means I need to turn off Maiming Slash. Claws of the Young King is going to be a really good crowd control, but it's also possible, nope, not quite yet, that Hio will be able to handle the crowd control quite well. Nope, not liking the way that worked out at all. Okay, so I want to see this fight again for sure without Maiming Slash. So I'm just gonna, well, actually, I'm gonna let it play out just for science, so you can see finish. Okay, I'm gonna change my mont a lot, and to do that, I need to back out a bit further. Couple of thoughts. Getting too far forward too quickly, so let's run with extra attack. Also, instead of turning off the ability that's giving me trouble, how about I swap over... I don't know. No. No. Not really. Actually... just not in this format. And he's only going to use that if it gets close. It's not much AP, so it's not going to eat his AP up. Don't need that. Don't need that. And also within Master Lord, I've turned off Mercy's Grace and Proclamation. So he still has Kalim's defense. He still can quicken himself and increase his defense. That's probably unnecessary too, actually. Kalim's Pride. Quickening in general is a waste of a turn in formats where wasting turns is a problem. So you definitely don't want that kind of stuff active. So let's give this one more try. With our improved setup, our improved King Mont. Hopefully he'll get in close for slash chaining with Dream Within a Dream. But the main point of this switchover is really hoping to ensure that we is bells off? Okay. Look. Go ahead and turn bells back on. This is really going to ensure that he can crowd control early, although, seeing the way that last game played out, he may not need to, as I don't know what I did, but just changing his sub-job, I guess, really opened up the way that this team worked to something completely different that was much faster. But I think that even in a longer fight, this will enable crowd control, even though it's theoretically unnecessary the way that this fight is playing out right now. But we did get him to bells instead of using other buffs and to run forward effectively, so this is looking good. Okay, that wasn't crowd control, but Probably fine. Because we're still ending on turn 13. So this is definitely a better team. Good Lord, Hio cuts straight through this boss. Awesome. So let me show you, even though that was pretty cool, I can probably still do it just as faster with Edward. And if not, up and in their face, doing crowd control already, but we are starting to run into bits of roadblock with this. And for a lot of other units that you might have that could do this, like even Roy can do this at a pretty low level, no problem, and can get his way up probably pretty high even at a lower level himself against this boss, just because of his natural advantages, something that's working in the exact opposite direction here for Edward. So this is the most ideal solo situation possible, and unfortunately it's not nearly as effective. Now we managed to get this boss just enough HP that we're starting to fail at that, so it looks like we're gonna have to switch to the 4-person team really early on this account, and that's something that you might have to do as a new player, but especially more experienced people, or maybe people who have Roy in general, are gonna be able to probably solo this with Roy for quite a while. Or with whatever your unit of choice is. Or, I don't know, is Hio a bonus unit? Maybe that could work. Anyways, you have a lot of options, and even though it is a bit slower, he can still do the job just fine. So, with all of that being said, now you know all of the strategies for beating a raid boss. So, good luck to you, and I'll see you in the next one.